Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of DTH Reviews. And today we are doing The Wolf Among Us, Chapter 1, Faith. And this is the next, I guess you could call them, I was going to say point and click, but it's more, I'm not sure what category you would put it under, more interactable adventure maybe?
Yeah, adventure game, yeah.
Yeah,
interactive,
it's then
sort of adventure sort of game by Telltale.
Yeah, that's the factual genre.
The official title.
So it's their next attempt after their awesomely successful Walking Dead series. And I went into The Wolf Among Us not knowing anything. I briefly remembered the trailer from E3. It was like a teaser montage. So the first thing that was surprising to me was the setting and the story. So it is based in a remodeled fairy tale world, but in a gritty and dark setting, which I had no idea. When you walked into that first room and there's a talking toad, I was like, what the Jesus is going on? And it turns out that's Mr. Toad from Wind in the Willows.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best characters in the episode, but I don't want to spoil too much. It caught me off guard, but it goes along this theme of this dark, gritty fairy tale-ness that we'll talk about in more detail in a second, but it's really neat. I don't think I recognised that it's been done before, and it's weird, interesting, and entertaining.
It's really cool. It's really weird, and it's really good. I was really surprised. I mean, I didn't really know, like, if they could recapture, and you still don't really know, like, if they'll recapture how great The Walking Dead was in a different way, but yeah, I was just like, oh, this is a really weird setting. Oh, these are like all fantasy characters. Oh, weird. Okay. Oh, this is like a really dark story. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do a good job of transforming the world of fairy tale-ness into this kind of gritty, dark, American city where it's like crime-filled, and
they've all been taken out of their fantasy world and put into a suburb of New York.
Yeah, that's the story basis.
It's about as shitty as you'd think it would be, going from the land of wonderful Disney / fairy tale fantasies and getting thrown into a crappy part of New York. I'd be pretty pissed off, and all the characters are pretty pissed off that it happened as well.
And I think they did a cool thing by making your main character is the big bad wolf from
Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, Little Red Riding Hood. So they do this kind of almost. It's really strange to say that they're doing character development for the big bad wolf, but it is like he's trying to turn a new leaf, and there's scenes through for the story where his inner beast is trying to come out of him, but he's trying to be a better man, and it's really interesting that they make you care about these characters and they put a personal twist on these. On these fairy tale creatures. It's still hard to even put into words. It definitely caught me off guard, and it kept me very engaged for the roughly 2-hour runtime of the first chapter. So I want to quickly talk about the gameplay. It's very, very similar to Walking Dead, but we should cover it in case people haven't played it.
Yeah, it's sort of just like, for the most part, you're sort of guided to where you're going through cinematics, and then when you get there, you talk to someone and you get 4 speech options whenever you are going to respond, and 3 of them are usually pretty, or there's like 3 actual speech responses, and then the 4th one is always just to stay silent, which is still a neat and crazy thing that they have an option for, where you can just not say anything for the majority of the game. I don't know, I've never done that, and I don't know what happens, but it's still a crazy idea that you can go through this story and just keep your mouth shut through the whole game for the majority of it, which is pretty neat. But then when you're not talking to dudes, there's every once in a while you'll get the ability to just free roam, wander around through a room, and you'll see little icons on different pieces of the environment that you can look at and sometimes interact with, and they'll help you. They sort of just help. They're most of the time just clues to help you solve the mystery that the story is trying to solve, and then every once in a while there's action where you're, I don't know, the action's weird. It's like
QuickTime events, basically.
It's basically QuickTime events, but you have to get a reticle over the QuickTime event first before you can trigger the QuickTime event, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's sort of the circle that you have to move with one of your thumbsticks to get over the part of where the action's taking place and then hit the right trigger.
It reminds me of some features in Heavy Rain.
Right, yeah. And, like The Walking Dead, the action is still kind of the crappiest part just because it's just sort of a nuisance.
I felt there was more in this series than there was in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit more of it, but it's a completely different type of story. But yeah, the action's still sort of crummy.
And obviously the choices you make alter your path in the story. That's still one of the major breaking points of the game.
Well, it's not even that you can alter the story. Like, that was what's so smart about The Walking Dead and this, presumably, is that, like, the story is more or less set in stone, but how you interact with all the characters is decided by you, and that really makes it feel like it's your own story.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it.
The Walking Dead more or less ends the same for everybody, but maybe not all those, or all the characters that were alive in my game probably weren't alive in your game, that sort of thing. So
yeah,
it's a really smart system, unlike Mass Effect, where you actually affect the story and then that sort of leads to a less satisfying conclusion. Whereas this is just like, I'm going to be an asshole to this guy, and that'll probably mess up the life of another character in the game. And so I think that's a really cool way of handling it, and it works really well, and it helps that the writing is really, really good, and the acting is really good. They all do a really good job of being... everybody does a really good job of just being depressed, just how shitty the mundane world is, which I'm glad they decided to call us mundane.
Yeah.
The normal non-magic folk get called the Mundies, which, pretty accurate, I think.
Yeah. I think the main thing that makes it so fantastic is something that we can't really talk about too much, as we don't want to spoil it for other people, and it's basically the way they've interpreted the fairy tale world. That is, like, the main thing that I was like, kept me hooked the whole way. They have all this backstory that, there's, I can't remember what it's called. Basically, you go to the options and you get, backstories to all the characters and what they've been doing since they were kicked out of the fairy world.
Yeah.
And I don't usually read stuff in games. I'm usually like, it's probably stuff I don't need to know. But I read all of them in this episode because the writing, as you said, is so well done, and it's really hilarious to see their different take on these fairy tale creatures. And I think they've done a good job of getting the age demographic right, because most of the people who are playing this, age 18 upwards, have usually all grown up with Disney and all these princesses and all these characters. And now we're older, and we're watching more violent and gritty things, and they've kind of done that transition where they're merging our childhood with our present day. So I think they did a really clever thing with it, and it's weird seeing, like one of the pigs from Little Red Riding Hood pop through the window and ask for a shot of whiskey and a fag. So,
yeah, I love that.
And that one scene where I won't spoil too much, but you're in Toad's apartment and you're basically questioning him, and you're like, the lock on the door, and he's like, I don't fucking know, mate, the lock's been fucking broken. I was just in stitches.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was just loving it. So
I think it's the most successful, like, basically, we won't talk about story, suffice it to say that it's...
You're a detective, I think. I don't think
that's a spoiler.
It's
It's a murder mystery. And they do really cool things with that story, and the episode ends really, really well.
Good cliffhanger.
But they just do everything with such style. It's this weird sort of like neon noir fantasy world, which is, I don't know, it's a really, really unique thing. The visual style of everything is really cool. It has really, really good music, and they just set the tone really, really, really well, and I hope that it just keeps getting better, like with The Walking Dead. Hopefully, each episode is just kind of better than the last one, and if it is, it could be really, really spectacular.
Yeah, I think Telltale have found a formula that they know has been successful, and they're going with it, and it's just turning out fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the other episodes.
If you don't know anything about this game, you should buy it. You should buy the first episode. It's only $5 for the first episode on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, and then it's, $25 for the whole season on Steam. And I think people should really play it. It's really weird and really cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's been a tricky review because it's hard to describe, and it's hard to say too much without ruining the best part about it, which is the story and the characters. But I think to sum up, you said it pretty well. It's a very unique and interesting story, and definitely go pick it up.
Yeah.
Should we give it a rating?
Sure, why not? This is for the first episode.
Yeah. So for the first episode in the series, I give it a big fat 5 stars.
5 stars. It's really cool. I knew nothing going in, and now, after the first episode, I can't wait until the next episode comes out, and I can't wait to see what they do with the story. So, go play it, please.